Hey everyone, and welcome to the Emotional Thesaurus, a podcast that helps you heal, deal, and most importantly, feel your emotion. My name is Ty, also known as Ella Ty on Instagram. Thank you for tuning in to the podcast. We drop episodes every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and we also drop videos of the podcast on my YouTube channel, Ella Ty. So please don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Instagram at Ella Ty. Follow me at TikTok at Ella Ty. And don't forget to follow the podcast, Instagram, and TikTok, the Emotional Thesaurus podcast. I'm super excited that you're here today. Today, we are going to be talking about something really important. Naming our feeling. Now, I know it might sound simple, but trust me, it's a game changer. I really hope you enjoy this episode. It's one of my favorites. Let's get into it. Naming our feeling and why emotional language sets us free. I have something to say. A lot of us have no idea what we're feeling because we were never taught emotional language. I'm talking to you, the person that shuts down every time a conversation gets hard, the person that runs away or thinks that there is a threat because someone's expressing their feeling, the person that tries their hardest not to cry or feels really weird for crying. I am talking to you. This episode is for you. I want to say one thing I've learned is naming something helps you better understand how to treat it, how to deal with it, how to move forward from it, because you have the proper language to articulate it. And one thing I've learned is that a lot of people are walking around with a lot of unnamed feelings on them because they were never taught how to express their feelings. More importantly, they were never taught how to name their feelings. One thing I've learned is that if you can name something, you can properly diagnose it, right? If I come to the doctor and I'm like, oh my God, I have a really bad stomach ache. And the doctor's like, here's some Tums. But that stomach ache is actually the beginning of stage of cancer. But because I didn't take the time to name it, I just gave a generalized explanation of what exactly I was feeling. Do you hear me? The care does not fit the pain. And I think that we need to speak about that more. A lot of us are walking around with a lot of unacknowledged, unresolved feelings. And the reason why we're walking around like that is because we don't have the verbiage to better articulate our feeling. I want to break down to you the power and the importance of being able to name the feelings that you're experiencing. Because a lot of you guys think that you're mad when you're really hurt or sad. A lot of you guys think that you're sad, but you're checked out. A lot of you guys think that you're numb, but you're overwhelmed, so much so that you're feeling everything and nothing at the same time. And I really want to break this down to you. So let's get into it. Number one, why are a lot of us walking around with feelings that we don't know how to name? Well, it starts from the beginning. You were never taught. How many times have you gotten really upset about something, or your mom or dad did something that made you upset, and the response was fix your face, or the one that I hated the most, stop crying before I give you something to cry about. So immediately you could just grab those feelings, put them in the back somewhere. You abandon those feelings because actively sitting with those feelings are the reason why you were never taught how to actively sit with your feelings. The minute that your parent may do something that you deem disrespectful, they don't see it as disrespect. They see it as being your parent. Let it go. But how can you let go of something that you've never really named? And also, where does that emotion go when you don't name it? I'm going to tell you, it sits right inside of you. There's a book called The Body Keeps Score. There's a whole book called The Body Keeps Score. I haven't read it yet. I've heard some very problematic things about it. But I definitely do believe that a lot of emotions live in the body. And that's why somatic therapy is so important. Because when you can name it and you can place it, you can process through it and release yourself from it. A lot of us are shackled to the radiator, attached to unnamed emotions and walking around with depression, anxiety, frustration, fear, confusion, all these feelings. And like I said, we were never taught. And it's not always learning about how to express yourself. It's more so learning how to name the emotions in the beginning. As children, we're taught happy, mad, sad, scared, disgust. Honestly, the best movie to watch to better understand that would be Inside Out is an amazing movie. It speaks about the 5 basic emotions that we're taught. But the thing is, as you get older and the world starts to get more gradiated, right? You start to realize that there are way more colors than just yellow, green, red, and blue. There are different hues and tones. your emotions also become more complex too. And with those emotions developing and becoming more complex, we need to make sure that we have support systems in place to better help us process through these feelings. I'm going to give you a personal story. When I was growing up, I was bullied a lot. And on top of that, because I was bullied, there wasn't really much room for me to really express my reality. I wasn't able to express my reality because it was like, oh, you're so sensitive. Oh my God. If you keep getting upset and giving them a reaction, they're just going to keep doing it more. I was never really protected. And as a 31-year-old woman now, I can place it that I felt betrayed a lot growing up because things that needed a response, things that needed someone to witness it, validate it, console me through it, and meet me with compassion were constantly things that were just left in the wings. And I was always walking around with this sense of invisibility and abandonment. But I never knew how to place those feelings because, all right, I just thought I was a angsty teenager. But then you start to go to therapy. You go to therapy and you start bringing up things. And the things, it also was so crazy when you start to go to therapy and you bring up things to experience in your past, you have a habit of laughing it off. Ha ha ha, this happened. And then the therapist, she don't laugh with you. She's like, and how did that make you feel? And you're like, I don't know, annoyed. And it's like, maybe that annoyance isn't annoyance. Maybe it's abandonment. Maybe you felt abandoned in that moment. And it's like, the more I went to therapy and learned about the things that I was experiencing, the more I was able to pinpoint the emotional weight that I was carrying, let myself feel it in its entirety and let it go. But it was all because I was able to learn how to name the feeling. Once you have a name, you can create a diagnosis, a strategy, an action plan on how exactly you can get through these feelings. And a lot of people don't like doing that. Another thing too that I've realized why people end up shaming or dismissing their feelings is because when you're shamed and dismissed for your feelings, reflecting back at it and looking at, now you have this whole other obstacle that's in front of you. So I suppressed my abandonment wounds. Now I've named my abandonment wounds. Now they're living in me. What do I do with these feelings now? Because after naming it is just the beginning. Honestly, awareness is the beginning, then naming it, then processing through it, and meeting yourself with compassion and reparenting yourself is the next couple of steps. And I think a lot of us, the reason why we avoid naming our feelings is because once I name the feeling, what do I do with it? How do I get through it? How do I get through it if I don't know how? If I don't know how to name the feeling, now that I've named the feeling because I'm in therapy, but now after therapy's over, after my session is over, I'm on the train ride back home feeling heavier than ever. And on top of that, your old conditioning comes back in. That don't cry, I'm going to give you something to cry about mentality shows right back up. And you then again abandon your feelings because naming it is too overwhelming for a lot of people. Let me tell you something. When you guys ever heard of the analogy, there are two people raised in the same household and one person is like an alcoholic. They participated in self-destructive behaviors. They are spiraling constantly, has narcissistic tendencies. And then the other one comes out okay. But the other person that comes out okay may be a chronic people pleaser, may not have any boundaries, may not really know how exactly to articulate, may not know how to articulate their feelings in their entirety or express them fully out of fear of being too much. One thing I've learned when it comes to trauma is that two things happen. Either you're cracked open and you become very overly sensitive and empathetic to someone's situation, or you become shut down, closed off, and you avoid feelings altogether. And when I realized that some people, the reason why they can't name their feelings is because they're shut down, and other people, the reason why they can name their feelings is because they're cracked open, it gives you a better understanding of where you are. I'm definitely one of those people that when I go through something tough, I'm cracked open. I don't shut down. I can't hold on to feelings and let them live in me. When I do that, I turn into a version of myself that I don't recognize. But there are some people that being cracked open is too much, that shutting down makes them feel safer. Me and my sister are cut from the same cloth, but we're completely different fabrics. You feel me? We're cut from the same cloth, but we are completely different beings. My sister is very much so tough it out. It doesn't matter. Shut down, whatever. Me, let's talk about it. Let's cry about it. We need to understand it so we can get through it. And the analogy that I brought up about two people raised in the same household, experiencing the same thing and turning out completely different, all comes down to how emotions are regarded, how emotional language is handled in their household, and then also how that affected them. Are you cracked open or are you shut down? And I definitely know I'm one of those people that is cracked open, but I know more than most people are shut down because it's safer. And when you recognize that, when you're like, oh shit, I'm a cracked open person. That's why I seek to better understand my feelings, name them so I can move through them so they're not making a home with me in me, as opposed to a person that has no idea what they're feeling. Oh, I'm shut down. It's easier as opposed to a person that is shut down. That person may be shut down because that's safer. It's easier to metabolize. It's easier to process. I'm not left with the weight of the reality of knowing what these feelings are, and I don't know how to navigate them. I also want to talk about subjectivity of emotions. Language is very subjective. When I think about the word peace, most people, when they hear the word peace, they think tranquility, serenity, calm, oceans, and lake, and things of stillness. Peace to me, though, peace to me means freedom. So peace to me, a peaceful night for me, may be a sunset drive on the PCH highway. Hair blowing in the wind, Childish Gambino playing in the background. And now that it's over. That's peace to me. But for someone else, that's like, how is that peace? It's not calm. But this is what I'd say. This is what I'm trying to say when it comes to stuff. Language being subjective. When it comes to studies of psychology and communication, language and emotion are subjective. So me being angry, but expressing that through tears may, for someone else, be like, you're not angry, you're just sad because you're crying. But everyone expresses emotions differently because emotional language is subjective to the person that's experiencing them. And then we all have individualized responses to emotions. It's like some people shut down emotionally while others are opened by similar life experiences because our early relationships with emotions affect individuals differently. It just affects us differently. But when you have individualized responses to emotions, when you're reacting in a way that is specific to you, it all comes down to your understanding of the feeling and being able to name it. And I'm telling you, once you're able to name your feelings, you're ahead of the curve. You're not down as long as you would be. You're not as angry as you normally would be. Emotions move through you because I keep telling people emotions are meant to move through you. They're basically your personal alarm system going off. Every emotion serves a purpose when it comes to how life is affecting you, how boundaries are hitting you, what that looks like for you. It's all subjective and specific to you and your lived experience being a human being on this world, in this earth, trying to navigate life to the best of your fucking ability. Point blank, period. But I think once you understand that, and once you see that, then you can start to give yourself emotional tools, learning what to do after you name the feeling. What do you do after you name the feeling? What do you do after you realize that all the years you were mad at your dad, you felt abandoned by him? You weren't even mad, you just felt abandoned. What do you do with that? Well, that's when you learn self-compassion. Self-compassion is basically just like reparenting yourself. A lot of us think that self-compassion is over positivity. But self-compassion is being able to see the person that experienced the situation and showed up to the best of their ability with what they have and say, you know what, that person's the best they could. They were using what they had at the time, the tools they had at the time, the knowledge they had at the time to better understand how to navigate this landscape. They were doing their best. That's self-compassion. And when you start to name emotional language, the thing that really helps you dispel that weight is being compassionate. You got to be compassionate to yourself. You have to say, yo, I didn't know any better. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I was doing the best I can. I killed with what I had. This is what it is. My bad. And it's important to give yourself the tools now. It's never too late. It's never too late to show up for yourself. Never too late. You have to understand also, not naming your emotion is also a form of self-abandonment. Because when you don't name your emotions, especially for the person that caused you to fall into that state, you don't have to hold them accountable. I've been looking at the concept of wholeness, right? wanting to be a whole human being. Because when my man walks into my life, I don't want him to feel like he's walking into a fucking piece of Swiss cheese where there's holes everywhere. I don't want to walk around, I don't want my man to come in and fill a void. I want him to stand beside me. I don't want him to be the reason why I breathe. Do you see what I'm saying? I want to be breathing well before he gets here. So when he's standing by my side, I'm breathing just a little bit easier. You hear me? So anyway, I was thinking about the concept of wholeness. And as I was thinking about the concept of wholeness, one thing they said is that the only way for you to be whole is to not self-abandon yourself. And I'm like, how do I self-abandon myself? And I recognized it this weekend at my job. Quick story. Trust me, it's a good one. I was at work. We were doing a makeup event for a particular mall. I will never do this makeup event again. I will never do it again. Make it very clear. I will never do it again. It was the worst experience of my life. And basically, I was disrespected by somebody that was organizing the event. We'll leave it at that. And long story short, when I experienced the disrespect, instead of saying, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed that I need a minute, stepped into overperformance. And here's what overperformance looks like to me. I get very, what do you need? How can I help you? Oh my God, no problem. I get very like Stepford Wivesy, meaning I am perfect to a T. I over-deliver to ignore the fact that I just feel disrespected. And once I caught myself doing it, I was like, oh, I'm self-abandoning myself right now because I'm not naming my feeling. Because in the undercurrent right now, as I'm in service to other people, I am ignoring my own needs. So I had to say in my head, I'm pissed off right now. I'm pissed off and I don't have to overperform and over-deliver to let them know that I'm not pissed. They need to know that I'm pissed because they crossed the boundary. I'm pissed. So instead of me overperforming, I took my energy back. I took a moment. And with that moment that I took, I was able to recalibrate. And get back to my fucking day. But it all came from the awareness that I was not going to self-abandon myself when I was being disrespected. And even if it means naming the feeling to yourself, that's better than nothing. If you have to just name the feeling to yourself in your head, oh, these people are really fucking trying me. They are really being disrespected. They're crossing all of my boundaries. I feel disrespected. If all you have to say is I feel disrespected, at least you've honored that by acknowledging the feeling. You've named the feeling. You've named it. You can acknowledge it. Now you can regulate. Let me do some deep breathing. Let me take a minute. Let me go to the bathroom real quick. Let me get a bottle of water. Let me calm myself down so I can make sure that when I step back in here, I'm not doing it out of a place of self-abandonment. So that's a tool right there. That's really important when it comes to acknowledging the emotional language. Knowing that you're not abandoning yourself is so important if you want to be in a state of wholeness. And wholeness comes from acknowledging your feelings. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is that emotional age versus chronological age. A lot of you guys are 30 years old, but emotionally you're fucking 10. A lot of you guys are 30 years old and emotionally you're 16. A lot of you guys are 30 years old and you're 5 emotionally. So much so that you're throwing temper tantrums, breaking things, threatening people's safety because the emotions that you feel within you are too chaotic because you never learned how to name them and, more importantly, how to regulate through them. A lot of you guys are not the same age chronologically as you are emotionally. And the reason why you're not the same age chronologically as you are emotionally is because it goes back to your fucking childhood. Did you have parents that constantly made you abandon yourself? Abandon your needs, your desires, your wants, your fears, your sadness, your worries, your hurts, because it was too much of a burden for them. Are you one of those people? And I know it's kind of hard to face, but a lot of people out here are navigating with outdated emotional tool belt. Their tool belt is like Fisher Price. When they need something big boy, I don't know any tool names. I don't know anything like that. I don't know. But it's like a lot of us are walking around with Fisher Price tool belts. And it's like, it's time to diversify your tool belt. It's time to age up your tool belt. It's time to get better tools that are needed for a different version of you. And a lot of y'all are still in the sandbox emotionally. And you're pushing people away because your reaction when you get emotional is not the same reaction of someone that's actually your chronological age. And you need to work on that. Because once you work on that, you can give that version of you that's driving this car that does not have the license to drive your emotional car of 30 years old. Why is there a 5-year-old behind the wheel of your emotional car? Put that baby in the back seat, strap him down, in the little car seat and trust yourself enough to know that you can get to the destination because you've done the work. A lot of y'all have to relieve younger versions of yourself from duty. There's a 16-year-old guarding your heart, a 19-year-old trying to help you with your emotions, a 5-year-old trying to regulate your anger. What the hell? Figure it out. Therapy, reading books, deep breathing, wanting to get to know yourself better, meditation, talking to your spirit guides, going to church if you need to, but you need to find a way to relieve that young little version of you that didn't have the tools to navigate the world as you are now. And I know that may be a little too hot. I know the tea may be a little spicy, but I'm saying this out of love. There are versions of me that I've had to say, you know what? It's not your job to drive this car anymore. You can get in the back seat. It's not your job to drive this car anymore. Well, you want me to drop you off at? Thank you because of you, I've gotten this far. Thank you. But I can take it from here. Y'all need to be the adult in your lives that the younger version of you didn't get to have. Run and tell that. And now I want to talk about therapy as a tool. I think growing up, we didn't really take the time to express emotion. Like the older generations, man, they just thought endurance meant you were good. But we are the first generation, the millennials, we are the first generation to say, I'm going to talk to somebody about that. Because we were shamed, especially if you were in like in a POC community. You don't talk about your problem with some stranger. You keep that in the household. You keep that in the household. How dare you speak to Sarah, the therapist, about our family issues? But the thing is, therapy is a tool to help you sort through your shit. It's not a place where you get advice. Therapy as a tool, it helps you sort through your shit. It helps you recognize your patterns. It helps you get out of survival mode. It releases you of the trauma. But you really need to make sure that you're giving yourself the emotional tools. Compassion, acknowledging your emotional age versus your chronological age, and actually investing in therapy as a tool and really aging up that tool belt. Because that tool belt is real Fisher Price, as my roommate would say. It's real Fisher Price. And we need a better one. Now, I want to talk to you about this. The next thing I want to get into is embracing the ongoing process. Emotional growth is a shit show. It's overwhelming. It's a lot. And on top of that, it's not something you can actively see. It's not like planting flowers and then watching them grow. Do you know what I mean? It's not about planting flowers and actually watching them grow. Being more aware of your reactions and being more attuned to your emotions and also knowing what's yours to pick up and what's yours to put down and experiencing indifference in a healthy way. All these things. But emotional growth is a shit show. Because even with the right tools, emotional growth can be a roller coaster. And the thing is, you want to be able to turn that shit show into something manageable. What I need you to understand, just because doing the work is not easy, it does not mean it's impossible. Point blank, period. So I want to circle back to the weight and power of naming. Naming emotions can be really fucking difficult because the weight that comes with naming an emotion is heavy. Keeping emotions unnamed allows you to avoid them, gives you permission to remain ignorant. But the thing is, there's danger in avoidance. Are you becoming better because you're avoiding something? Absolutely not. The more you avoid something, the bigger it gets. The more you face something, the smaller it gets. And you want to make sure that you're walking towards something so it can get smaller as opposed to walking away from something and it getting bigger. Because then you're fucking up your sleeping pattern. You're suppressing all these feelings. You're not being able to eat. You're in a constant state of stress because this situation is in your background looming and you're worried about it. You want to make sure that you can really face these things head on. When you're facing emotional things head on, it does not mean you're not scared. Bravery is being scared and still doing it anyway. You have to validate the fear and still walk toward it. How many times you've gotten on a roller coaster, you're like, holy fucking shit. This roller coaster is high and it's fast and I'm scared. And the thing is, you still go on a roller coaster anyway. That's what bravery is. Your heart don't stop racing just because you got on the roller coaster. It stops racing after you got off of it. After you've gone on the ride. But like I said, there's danger and avoidance. But I also want to make it very clear, there is one thing I've always felt ever since I was a kid, is that knowledge is pain. Do you want to know what's in a hot dog? Absolutely not. I don't want to know what's in a hot dog. I will never watch a documentary. Oh, here's how hot dogs are made. I'm not going to ruin my life like that. But with knowledge comes pain. And when it comes to the naming your emotions, there is a pain that comes with that. There's a weight that comes with that. There's a responsibility that comes with that. But there's also a freeness that comes with that once you learn how to cope with it. There are things that keep myself ignorant to remaining blissfully ignorant in certain instances. But when it comes to my feelings, I don't choose blissful ignorance. Because the only person that causes hurt at the end of the day is me. There is power in naming your feelings. There's so much power in naming your feelings. There's a lot of power in naming your feelings. And when you name your emotions, you better understand yourself too. It may seem daunting, overwhelming, but the power in naming emotions is that the more you name, the more you become. The more you name your feelings, the more you become, period. Don't you want to be more like you as opposed to not being like you? I don't know. It sounds amazing if you ask me. But here's the thing though, their emotions are meant to move through you, like I said. They don't stay with you. They're not meant to stay stagnant. Because when they do stay stagnant, they spoke about that for a second. When emotions stay within you, right, and they settle, there's some times where the emotion can be in your chest, it can be in your tummy, it can be in your shoulders. But when the emotion settles into your bone and is unshakable, that's where depression sets in. I have been so sad where the sadness, I could feel it in my bone. Every step I took was so fucking heavy because I was not naming my feelings. And the only way you can get through a heavy feeling like that is something has to knock you off your feet and shake that sadness out of you to where you have to literally metabolize an ugly cry. Not swollen, face puffy, hyperventilating cry where your nervous system can really metabolize all that suppressed emotion. And I know I'm not the only one that's experienced this. That's why a lot of people that experience depression, it's a heaviness I just can't shake. Because it's settled, man, and you have to make it your mission to find a way to shake it loose. You have to find a healthy way to shake it loose. And you have to have people around you that want to help you name that. So you can survive this because it's a lot. I'm not going to act like it's a lot. But also, like I said, it becomes physical manifestation. Unacknowledged emotions can get trapped. I used to have really bad anxiety. And I think as I've gotten older and I've been able to name my anxiety and figure out what triggers me, my anxiety has not really been fucking with me like that. I've been more so uncertain about what's next, but I don't feel anxious about it. And that's because I name it. I also learned that my anxiety is my emotional alarm clock trying to tell me something. So I've been able to face it head on to where things don't get as big as they used to get with me. And I walk toward things even if I'm scared. But that's really important. If you don't take the time to acknowledge the physical manifestations, it can block you in so many different ways. You can get a lump in your throat and feel like you can never speak your truth. You want to be able to speak your truth even if your voice shakes. You want to love even if your heart aches. You want to move even if it hurts your hips. You have to make it your mission to keep the emotions moving. Another thing that I really want to talk about is understanding emotions in others. A lot of us have to understand that with emotional language comes this terminology like nuance. There's an in-between the line type of thing that I don't think we really address as much as we need to. But when you start to name your emotion, you can understand the nuance a little bit better. You can see when people are reading in between the lines a little bit. And I think also you develop this thing called attunement, meaning being able to gauge where someone's at just by way of their action. It's not like being able to read their mind, but it's being able to read their energy a little bit. And when you are very emotionally sound and you're very emotionally attuned with yourself, that attunement also shows up when it comes to how you interact with other people. As a makeup artist, I've been a makeup artist for 11 years. Anytime somebody sits down in my chair, I can tell within the first 5 seconds if something's wrong or not. I can feel it in the energy, how they're holding their shoulders, how they breathe. I can see all of this. But the only reason why I can see that is because I'm very emotionally attuned with myself. And one thing I make very clear, when you're attuned with yourself, you're attuned with other people around you. You pick up on things real freaking easily. Because somebody can sit there and be saying, oh my God, I feel angry. But there's so many different levels to angry. There's disrespected, there's betrayed, there's frustrated, there's annoyed. And it's important to know what exactly you're feeling, because when you know what degree of emotion you're feeling, you have a more concise action plan on how to deal with it. You feel me? A more concise action plan on how to freaking deal with it. But that's why it's also really important to be able to develop that sense of attunement. But on top of that, being able to, once you develop that sense of attunement, you're able to see in between the lines when it comes to other people. But just how I broke down how there's so many different versions of emotion, happy and sad. And there's happy, then there's excited. There's so many different subsets of that entire group of emotions that we've been taught. It's so layered, it's so nuanced. And it's like the more we learn, the more we know, the better we can be as human beings. And I want you guys to understand that. Emotional language sets you free. When you are able to place exactly how you're feeling, more than anything, you want internal clarity. You want to be able to know where you're at, why you're there, how you feel, how you're moving. Emotional clarity and inner clarity is the best you can give yourself. And the only way you can give it is by knowing exactly where you are. If you tell me to come get you and I don't know where your location is, I can't find you, telling me to come get you, I'm not going to be able to get to you. Where are you? Where are you? And being able to name your feelings basically tells people where you're at. That's all it does. Oh, you're mad, so I can adjust to you this way. Oh, you're upset, oh, I can meet you that way. Oh, you're happy, I can be happy with you. Like, you see what I'm saying? It helps people better understand how to meet you. And also, it helps you better understand how to meet yourself. Because naming your feeling isn't just about how others respond to your feeling. Naming your feelings is also knowing what to give yourself what you need when you're experiencing them. Yesterday, I had a fucking shitty ass day. And you know what I did? I ordered the trick drinks. I cleaned my ring. I did an extensive skincare routine. I took an hour shower. I planned my podcast episode and I went to bed. But that was by candlelight. Everything was by candlelight because I'm like, I can't have no lights on. I'm so stressed out. But I gave that to myself because I knew I was burnt out and I needed to make sure that if no one else could give me a soft space to land, at least I could do that for myself. Point blank, period. All right, we're going to wrap this episode up. It is so important for you to value your emotions. All of your emotions are a beautiful spectrum to gauge where you are, what you need, what you want, and where you want to go next. And you constantly shitting on your feelings, you constantly saying that you're sensitive is a fucking insult. Sensitivity is a gift. Do you hear me? Being sensitive is a gift. We need a lot more of that in this world. The world is getting real fucking weird. So my sensitive people, don't stop being sensitive. Don't stop crying. Join the club. I'm the president of the Crybaby Club. I love crying. I look forward to it. And I need you to look forward to that too, because that's where your strength lies. Your strength lies in your vulnerability. Your strength lies in your softness. And sensitivity is the path to get there. I'm so excited that this episode went so great. If you're new here, thank you for watching. Welcome to the Emotional Thesaurus. We drop episodes every Friday. Every Friday we drop an episode. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next week Friday.